Hi crew, if you're looking for some additional watercolor techniques and how to get started, then this is the right video for you. Come on in and I'll teach you a few new tricks. Hi guys, welcome to Letitia Houston Art, where I'm spreading a little light to the world through the canvas. Today's tutorial involves watercolor techniques using wet on dry, which means painting onto a dry surface. We're going to focus on about 10 different techniques. In the last video that I showed you, we were focused on wet techniques. In today's video, we're also going to have a technique that's going to form the basis of our painting in the next video. So stay tuned for that and hit subscribe if you want to see it. And let me know in the comments below how you go with this tutorial and whether it was helpful for you. See you soon. Cup of tea, check. Okay, so we're going to start with a flat wash. I'm just applying just a minimum amount of paint for a nice vibrant wash straight onto the page. Strong strokes, sideways motion. A flat wash is just one flat color. So you might find that some areas are a little darker than others, which means you just add another layer until it smooths out and you've got one flat color. Really great as a starting point, a foundation for any watercolor piece. So some parts are a little darker, so I'm just smoothing it out, and I'm using a flat brush to show you this technique. So voila, we've got a flat wash. So the next wash that we're going to do is still again a flat wash, but I just want to show you with a little more water. Watercolor has a lot to do with learning how to control your water and how the paint spreads and distributes throughout it, and how much water to add to get the technique that you want. All of these things take practice, which is why we're doing this tutorial today. So you can see I've got a little more water on this one, a little more translucent, side to side motion, and we've got a nice flat wash. Next wash is the graded wash, and we're working from dark to light. So gradually we're just adding more clean water as we move down the page, and you should see that it's dark at the top and then it's just gradually getting light till there's almost no color at the bottom. That's our graded wash. Now I just want to show you what watercolor pens can do. This is a 0.4 watercolor pen, which is activated with water. I use this a lot in my work for outlines and filling in small areas. So then to activate it with the water, I'm just using a small detailed brush, and we just want to create a sort of watercolour effect and a blurred circle. We're going to go back in to our flat wash, and we're going to use our round brush, and we're just going to drop beads of water on top. I just want to show you this effect because it's one, again, that I use regularly. You can use it with leaves, you can use it with faces, you can use it to create patterns. And then you just take a tissue and then you just lightly dab the places where you put the water, and you can see where the paint's lifted off. Really cool effect. One of my favorite techniques. Next technique, again, we're going to work with a graded wash, but we're going to work from the bottom up. So light to dark this time. It's a little harder for me to do. See how it started to bleed already? What you can do is just dab your brush in clean water and then go over it to smooth it out and blend it all together a little better. See how you can see the grades between it? So I'll just go back over that and smooth it out. So far, so good. Bit of a readjustment. Get your excess water off. That's what the tissue is for. Smoothing it out again. So now I just want to show you a technique for feathering. We're going to use a round brush. Note that the round brush holds much more water than the flat brush, so you just want to be careful and watch out for pooling of water. Not too much water with this one, just enough to get it on the page. Just going to draw a leaf. Fill in your leaf. Just soft strokes. And then what we're going to do is dip our brush in clean water. Just clean it off first. And this technique is great if you want to create clean, crisp lines, but if you want that line to have a blurry sort of effect, pull in some clean water on the edge of your leaf and it will just bleed out slightly and create the softness. So if you had leaves in the background of a piece, this would help. You might have some leaves that are just floating around in the back, and then you might want some cleaner, crisp looking leaves towards the front of the piece in the foreground, just as an example. Now I'm just going to show you how to create some highlights. Again, you can use your tissue and you can just lift off the colour. Best to do this while the paint's still wet. There we go. So we're just creating a little bit of depth. adding some highlights. Got ourselves a leaf. I'm just going to show you some dry brushing techniques now. Minimal water. I'm dipping my small brush straight into the paint, creating a grass-like effect. Small detailed brush is great for this. Even if you want to create silhouettes as well, dry brushing is great for that. This is really dry. Barely any water. Just kind of scraping along. Great for gravel, great for tree trunks, rocks, anything where you need kind of a rougher, textured look. So now some splattering. This technique is where I use two brushes. Two brushes helps give you greater control. You just want to have enough paint with the water that it can form a droplet. Another way to splatter is to use your finger and pull back the brush. This effect tends to go everywhere. Got a scratching technique, which is what the key was for. Scratch in a design directly on the paper. Once you've got that down, then we'll do a flat wash over the top. You can use a needle as well. Anything that'll kind of scratch into the paper. A little bit of water, just a flat wash over the top, and you'll see the pattern that you scratched in with the key show up underneath. I just thought I'd show you that. Might be useful, something to test out. Another flat wash. Just want to show you the making of clouds if you're doing watercolor. Again with the tissue, just want to kind of create a peak in the tissue and just form a cloud shape. Again, you're just lifting off the paint. Now I'm going to use a small brush. If you want more defined clouds, you can sort of scrub in the area, no water barely. Just sort of push out from the edges and then dab with your tissue. So you've created these clouds. Again, it's another technique that I use a lot of in my work, especially for backgrounds, if I want to lift off paint from a certain area to highlight. Last technique is the drip. This drip is going to form the basis of our next little painting demo. You're going to lift your page up, form a droplet and let it run down the page any which way it goes. So drop your paint, enough water that it can create a bit of a droplet, and then you just keep adding water on the top till it looks like it's ready to run. creates a drip effect. Pretty cool, huh? So, that's pretty much our lesson today. All in blue, one color. We're just keeping it simple. So in the next tutorial, we're going to be working with this same drip technique that we've learned. And we're going to add in a picture. So now we're going to illustrate a little bit and sketch in